What's up, everybody? My name is Eric Irvine. I am a capital raiser, and I am on the road to raising $50 million in the next 5 years that will be focused on micro-family projects. And today I am joined by my good buddy, Keola Keala, who is originally from Maui, which is why I wore my Aloha shirt today. And I'm excited to talk to him about lending, investing, and kind of the path that he's on. So, what's up, Keola? How you doing?
What's up, Eric? Hello, and thanks for having me today, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a little while.
It's been a minute, but always good to see you. Always good to jump on anything you're doing because everything you touch is big thing. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So what's been going on? Haven't talked to you for I don't know, a month or so. I know you've been busy and just let's chat about kind of what you've been up to over the last year, where you are now, and what the kind of what the next few months looks like.
Yeah, you bet. Over the past recently, I've been really just putting my head down and going to work, right? Really staying focused. Find it important to say yes to the things you really want to do and no to the things that are kind of getting in the way, right? So I've been over the last 4 or 5 months been really clearing my plate so I can really focus and hone in on a new business venture that I've started. Still involved in real estate, still doing lending, but really trying to pivot and bring on a new business today that's kind of heading in the federal space. And so that's kind of been where most of my time has been recently.
Awesome. Are you able to share details on that, or is it completely under wraps?
It's not under wraps. I'm just on the second phase of getting qualified for this as I have to fill out paperwork, get all legal things together. First phase done, second phase coming up. But in this space, basically at the end of the day, Eric, what the purpose and vision of this is that I am able to create a company that participates in federal programs uh, and does federal jobs. Part of that allows me to bring on people who are socioeconomic disadvantaged business owners and allow them to work with me and also participate in this space and giving people opportunities to learn and grow, develop more opportunities for employment, and ideally give them a chance to earn money that they can then spend towards real estate and investing, which is kind of the end goal.
Awesome. So, I mean, you had been doing a lot of transactional stuff. Still doing that on the side, or are you just 100% into this new venture?
Still doing that. Still doing that. Yeah. Heavily focused on transactional funding as well, and picking up this new venture, kind of doing those two things together. I'm still, doing a lot of lending in the private money space. Not a lot, a few with repeat borrowers, but I still get people reaching out to me often to help them raise capital or to find people that can fund on their deals.
Awesome. And has that been pretty successful for you? Like the capital raising side or the transactional? I mean, either one.
Transactional has been really, really good for me. Picking up a good steady deal flow there. A lot of people reaching out, as you know, for all transactional as protected lending, whether that's EMD, double close, or, seller carry stack method funds. That's really been on the increase recently as rates have changed. People are pivoting how they're either offloading their properties or how they're even purchasing more creatively.
Hmm. So a question on that, like I've done some transactional stuff, but it's just with a couple of people that I have relationships with. It's never been my main focus. But a lot of people, when they get into lending, I feel like they see that as like the first place to go, right? It's kind of like, wholesaling. It's like you get into real estate, you're like, okay, the first thing I need to do is wholesale, and it seems like the easiest or the most attainable. That's how I look at transactional funding. There's so many people who are just doing it, on the regular, and I get hit up every single day. So how have you set yourself apart from everybody else who is trying to get into the lending space and seeing, EMDs and double closes as the way in? Because there's a lot of noise there, right?
For sure, for sure. Well, I think it's important to kind of share a little bit about like how I landed here and my pivot away. Like as an example, like what you just shared, Eric, it could describe me to a T. Like exactly. Like when I first decided I was going to jump into the lending space and start being a private money lender, I initially joined a community, call it almost 2 years ago, saying, "Oh man, I could do transactional funding all day long. Like, yeah, like that'd be easy. Why not? And like so many others, when I jumped into that creative space, I found that it wasn't as readily available as I thought it was.
So that
And so,
the need wasn't there. Like you had the funds ready to go, you had
yeah,
the desire to do it, but people weren't just like breaking down your door asking for this money.
yeah, like I didn't know where to go, who to reach out to. I thought I was doing the right things. And so I spent a little bit of space there trying to find those type of deals. And I quickly pivoted because I was just sitting stagnant for the most part, right? I had this money to lend, but no transactional funding opportunities were coming my way where I thought it was readily available. And so I quickly pivoted. I went after low hanging fruit. And at that time, low hanging fruit to me was really in kind of the gap lending space, kind of funding on shorter term private money deals, whether that was fix and flips, rehabs, or even jumping into some private money partnerships at that time. And so what I thought I was going to do in the lending space, which was transactional funding, I pivoted, went immediately into short term lending as a private money lender, and really spent a large part of a year and a half doing that and being really successful at it, and enjoying it. Like I really had a good time lending, met a lot of great people, done a lot of transactions as a private money lender, and I had a lot of people reaching out to me to deploy capital. And and it wasn't until last year, um, I would say October, November, I had about 7 deals of my own deployed, my own capital out, and four of them were coming delayed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to stay in this space. And I ended up talking to a good friend of mine. And as I'm talking to him, he gets this text, looks at this text, and he's like, oh my gosh, I just broke 6 figures in transactional funding. And I was like, wait, what? Like, no, come on. Like, what else is there, right? What else is in that grouping? And he's like, no, really cool. Like, I just broke 6 figures in transactional funding. I was like, bro, I've been trying to do that from the get go. He's like, but have you really, right? Have you really been trying to do it? And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, I challenge you to call the last 10 people that you lent on and ask them if they know that you do transactional funding. And I was like, come on, man. Eric, if you'd asked me that question, I'd be like, Eric, come on. Like, what are you talking about? But I took his challenge. I was like, okay, I'll take your challenge. Let's put money on it, right? Like, I'll take your challenge. So I called the last 10 people that I had lent deals out to them, right? I've done a private money loan to them, 8 months or less deals we had literally transacted together on. I called them. I said, hey, Eric. Hey, I just want to call and let you know, like, hey, you know that I do like short term, like I do transactional funds, right? Like funding. They're like, 8 of them, right? Eric, were like, no, I didn't know that. I I just thought you were a gap funder. Like, no, bro, I do transactional funding too. It's like, no, you don't. Like, I know you as this person.
And do those people actually have the need for transactional funding?
So those people, like, they said, like, oh, I didn't know you did that. I would have reached out to you if I knew that. Like at that moment, they didn't. But I wasn't calling to say I was really calling to take his bet. Like, come on, like of
Of
course they
course they
know.
know. They know me. They know me.
Yeah,
I
so eight
posted it
were
one
flat
time on
out.
Instagram.
Yeah, 8 were flat out. No, I didn't know you did it, and the other two were kind of like, well, I guess I figured you did, but I just know you as a private money lender, right? So I didn't get one single. Oh yeah, Keola, yeah, I know you're a transactional funder,
Interesting.
and
So
and I was blown
at
away.
that point, did you go into your CRM or in your phone and just go back to like the 100 people that you had already talked to about PMLs or anything and just say, "Oh man, I got to tell everybody I know that I'm actually doing this."
Well, good point, right? Like the first call I made was back to the guy, and I was like, "Listen, I just called 10 people, like you said, and here's the results." And he goes, "Yeah, I knew you'd get the result because when I look at you and what I see you doing, none of it says you're a transactional funder."
Interesting.
And so we jumped on this long call. We kind of broke down my business. We kind of talked about what it would take if that's where the space I wanted to be in. And so in December, I took time to learn a little bit more about those things. I took a little bit more time to kind of really develop my back end system and decide, all right, in January, I'm just going to go all in on transactional funding. And so I revamped my social, I revamped my marketing, I revamped my even my website and name, and came out and said, okay, this is what I want to do. And just kind of understanding what you want, redesign to ensure that your message aligns with that was a huge game changer for me. In the year and a half of lending up to that point, I had done 2 transactional deals that were kind of happenstance, to be honest with you. 2 out of 20 deals that I did private money lending, right? And so I made this pivot, made this change, and since January till let's call it end of June, I've done 8 transactional funding deals in just 5, 6 months.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
and
you're
all because of that pivot.
yeah, and making a very deliberate transition into like marketing yourself as a certain thing instead of like, oh, I'm kind of just like a general money guy. I do some PML, I dabble in this. You're like, oh no, this is all I'm doing.
And I
Interesting.
think when I was more clear on what I want to focus on, and I actually communicated that consistently, then people could really understand what it is that I do. And I still have people confused, like, so what it is that you do? Like, hey, what? Tell me what it is that you're all about. Like, even to this day, and so I'm really trying to, for myself personally, really simplify my message.
Very cool. Yeah, just sure you can get into other things if you get into a conversation with somebody, but you want that initial outreach or that initial relationship to be based on the fact that you do transactional.
Yeah. And just to that point, right? Like you said a very important word, right? And that's relationship. And whether it was private money lending, whether it was capital raising, or whether it was transactional funding, what I found is that it is relationship based. And the people that I have done these transactions with, we built a relationship. We continue to nurture that relationship, and they come to me because of the relationship that we have. Right? It's not that my my money is worth any more or less than somebody else's money, but I think it's really about a few key components. Relationship is most important. Having that trust built because that relationship is key, and being able to perform when they need it, uh, is the ultimate piece that everybody wants.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to do business with people that you know, like, and trust instead of somebody who may be, have slightly cheaper rates. Or at least this is how I operate. Like, I want to go to you if I need transactional as opposed to somebody else who's charging, slightly less. Because I know I can pick up the phone and talk to you. If something's going wrong, you're going to talk to me. It's just, it's a good relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have people come to me all the time like, well, there's this guy that I know of that can do it at this rate. It's like that's great. If that's what works best for you, please, like I'm as long as you can get your deal done, I'm all behind you. But here's my rates, here's how we operate, here's what comes with it. And if that fits for you, then hey, let's keep doing business. But regardless if we do business together or not, let's keep talking, right? Like I'm still your
Yeah.
friend, let's keep chatting.
And I think that makes people kind of second guess themselves too, right? If they come to you and they're like, "Hey, you're charging 40%, but my buddy can do it for 30." You're like, "Dude, 100% go with your buddy or go with this other person. Probably not your buddy. Go with this other person. If you have questions, let me know. It's not something I can do for, a number of different reasons or because of a number of different reasons. But yeah, 100% go shoot me any questions you have. And I think that like switches something in someone's head when they're like, wait, this guy isn't trying to like win my business or like, you know, go down in his price just so he can make a dollar, but he does want to make sure that I am successful. Maybe I should work with him, like, or maybe I should just
Yeah.
continue this relationship. I'll do this one deal with the 30% guy, but then I want to do my next 10 with the person who's actually trying to help.
It's so funny. I just had this deal last month that like hits that to a T. This guy reached out to me, says, "Hey, I got this deal I need funding for." He gave me his raise, like, "Oh man, I apologize. Congrats on getting the deal. good luck with that. But that rate isn't something we can work with, um, because of these are the things, right? And he's like, okay, well, shucks, I really wanted to use you. Is there anybody else you know of? And I actually referred him to somebody that I know of that could do it a little bit cheaper, right, for that specific reason. And when I said that to him, I was like, wait, what? You're going to send me to somewhere else? Like, yeah, well, I can't do it, but I know this person can, and is willing to do it. But here's a few other things you want to be mindful of. And so I sent him this list, like, hey, make sure you ask these questions of the deal. Make sure to structure this way to protect yourself. Good luck with it. I'll even let him know and give you guys an introduction. And so I did all of that for them. They went through it, right? The deal had a lot of interesting challenges along the way. Um, and even in the challenges, he would reach out to me like, hey, this just came up. Explain this to me. It's like, okay, well, let's jump on a call. Let me explain it to you. Here's what they're saying. Here's what you need to provide. Good luck. Right. And just all of this back and forth where I wasn't even a part of it, but still tied to it to support him so that he could get the property.
Yeah, you're doing the deal. He's using somebody else's money.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say you're not getting anything out of it because you're going to gain a long-term customer or relationship with this person because of the support you're providing that his or her lender was not providing. But yeah, that's funny. You just like gotta grind it out for a little bit, be like, all right, this is gonna pay off in the long run.
And it has, right, to that point, on both sides. Not only did this borrower come back to me on a different deal, but the lender that I sent to him to also had a deal that they couldn't do because of the amount, and so they sent that over to me.
Yeah.
And so it kind of worked out both ways. Not that I did that with that intent in mind, but just, as you know, Eric, like you're the type of person you always want to help, right? If I can help move this deal forward, and I know you well, great. Let's do what we can.
Yeah. I love that. You'd mentioned a little while ago that you had like once you started doing PMLs on your own before you really got into the transactional stuff that people in your community started coming to you with capital to deploy. They were sitting on something and they said, "We want to put this to work. Keola, you're doing stuff. Can you please, deploy it for us?" What were those relationships like? Was that, within your real estate community? Was that from your, your church or previous job? Like, why did people trust you enough to come and say, "Here, take my savings and invest in some"?
Yeah, good. I ask myself that question all the time. In fact, sometimes I even ask them, like, like, well, what did I do like to deserve this, right? But I think it comes down to just being authentic and genuine with them. In my initial conversations, even when people reach out to me just to understand my business, rarely am I ever just pitching a deal, right? And so I share this all the time. Like I focus on three P's: people, property, and profits. And and for me, the people component is the most important. Like when I jump on a call, whether it's a discovery call or a detailed call, and it's our first call, that call for me is really like, let's talk less about the deal and let's talk more about you. Who are you as a person? What are your values? What are some things that we have that are in common? Let me get to know you as a person, and get to know the people first above anything else. And if we can pass that people test, then let's move on to the next P, which is let's talk about the property, right? And property is just a catchphrase for let's dive into the numbers, let's dive into the details. Does it make sense? But if we can't pass that first people test, then it doesn't even matter what the deal is. Like
You
I'm
got
not a
you, yeah,
fan of
you
days.
got to figure out who you're marrying, right? And so even if somebody has, $10 million at the ready, but if you don't align on certain values and you're not going to communicate in a way that, they appreciate, that you appreciate, it's not going to work out, right?
Yeah.
So you want
It's
to
like,
make sure that that foundation is there before you move forward.
oh, for sure. For sure. It's like, I was sharing this with somebody just the other day. They're single, they're a young guy, and I was like, it's kind of like going out on a date. You can go to your favorite restaurant, but if the person you're taking to the favorite restaurant you don't vibe with, you can't really talk to, the food doesn't taste that good, right? Like Yeah, it's your favorite restaurant. Now you know what you're getting, but because the company that you're there with isn't good, you don't really enjoy it to its fullest potential. And I look at deals and business the same way. Like, if I don't enjoy who I'm doing it with, it's not as satisfying or gratifying in the long run.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with that more. That's how I've kind of like focused my business. It's definitely people first. Who do I want to work with? Who do I have no problem hopping on a call with, breaking bread with, joking around with, when we're not talking about a deal itself. So it doesn't always have to be about numbers, returns, so on and so forth. We can hang out. We can vacation together. Like who knows what it is, but we're friends first and like business partners second. So I
Yeah, and just to that point, if you can bring that to the table, right, which I know you do, couple that, right, and synergize it with a clear communication cadence that is outlined and be that professional in every transaction, then there's no reason why people aren't going to want to deploy capital with you, right? And that those are two things I know that you bring to the table. You bring this side that people like and enjoy because of who you are, and you also bring a professional air of yourself and the way you operate that is buttoned up and everything is outlined. You have clear communication, clear cadence of communication that just brings everybody with you throughout the entire journey, step by step. And those things is what I feel I was able to create and develop and deliver early on.
That's awesome. And I mean, you forgot to mention that I wear Aloha shirts, which
And I mean, that was a given. I didn't want to kind of point the obvious.
well, dude, I don't want to take up more of your day. I know you're crazy busy, so I appreciate your time. But last question would be just how do people get a hold of you? I mean,
Yeah.
what do you want people reaching out to you? Do you want to go back to your hole?
Well,
how
although
do
I'm
we
in my
find you?
hole, yeah, although I'm in my hole doing getting this other business off and running, I'm still engaged and active, reaching out others and helping other people move their deals forward as well. And so the best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram. That's Keola_Keala on Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, again, brother, thank you for your time. It's been awesome, and I hope we talk a little more frequently than we have been.
No doubt. Mahalo for having me today, Eric.
Absolutely. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right.
Bye.